It was around 1:17 a.m. when I pulled into that gas station off Route 19. One of those lonely stretches of highway where the streetlights barely work, and the air feels too still, like the world's holding its breath. I'd been driving for hours, trying to make it home after visiting my mom in another town. It was a 3-hour drive, and I'd left way too late. By the time I hit the back roads, it was just me, the hum of the tires and the occasional flicker of a deer's eyes in the dark. My tank was almost empty, so when I saw the dim blue glow of that gas station sign, I felt relief. But the kind that disappears fast. Because the second I pulled in, I realized how dead the place looked. Only one of the lights over the pumps worked. It buzzed and flickered like it was struggling to stay alive. There were no other cars, no movement, just my reflection in the glass doors of the convenience store, dark behind them. I remember saying quietly to myself, "Just gas up and leave, man." That's all I wanted. So I parked by the far pump, left the engine running and stepped out. The night air hit me, that cold, dry kind that stings your nose. Crickets somewhere in the grass, a loose metal sign creaking in the wind. The pump made that click when I squeezed the handle. That sound echoed, too loud for such a small station. That's when I noticed something strange. From the corner of my eye inside the convenience store, a faint light, like a flicker of movement from a phone screen, or maybe a flashlight. It wasn't steady. It pulsed every few seconds. At first, I thought it was just a reflection, maybe mine. But then I saw it again, and this time I could make out something darker, a shape behind the glass doors, someone standing inside. They weren't moving, just standing there, about 6 or 7 feet from the door, perfectly still. I froze, the handle of the gas pump still in my hand, trying to convince myself it was nothing. Then the light flickered again, and I swear, for half a second, I saw a face. Not fully, just enough to know someone was looking back at me. I let go of the pump, keeping my eyes on the glass. But as soon as I did, the flickering stopped. The store went completely dark again. I stood there in silence, the gas pump handle hanging from my hand, the wind brushing my jacket. And for a moment, I actually considered walking up to the door. But something deep in me said, don't. I can't explain that feeling. It wasn't fear at first. It was instinct. Like when your body knows something before your brain catches up. I backed away slowly toward my car, and that's when I noticed the flicker came back, but now it wasn't coming from inside the store. It was coming from behind the counter, lower to the ground, like someone had crouched down and was shining a light up toward the glass. That's when I heard it, the faintest sound, a kind of tap, like a single knuckle hitting glass. Once, then again, then 3 times, slowly. Tap, tap, tap. I froze, my mind trying to process whether I actually heard it. The sound was faint but precise, and it was coming from that same door. I whispered, "Hello?" No answer, only silence, and the buzz of that single flickering light above me. I looked around, hoping to see a car, a worker, anything, but the lot was completely empty. Even the road was dark and quiet. And then, another sound, the click of a door. It came from around the side of the store, like someone had just stepped out a back exit. I turned, trying to see past the pump. There was movement, faint but fast, someone walking along the side of the building toward the front. At that point, every muscle in my body went tight. I dropped the gas handle, jumped into my car, and locked the doors. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. For a second, I told myself maybe it was just the employee. Maybe I scared them. But that thought didn't sit right, because the inside of that store didn't look like it had been open for hours. The shelves were dark, no hum from refrigerators, no light from the back, just dust and shadows. I started the car and threw it into reverse. As my headlights swung toward the front of the store, someone was standing by the pump I'd just been at, not moving, not even facing me, just standing there inches from the metal handle I'd dropped. Their head was tilted slightly downward, hands at their sides, like they'd been standing there the whole time. The skin on my arms prickled so fast it felt like fire. I put the car in drive and sped out of there, Gravel kicking up behind me, heart slamming in my ears. But before I turned onto the main road, I glanced once in the rearview mirror. The figure was still there, standing perfectly still under the buzzing light. But this time, they were facing me. No light hit their face, just the outline of their shoulders and the faint shine of their eyes. Not glowing, just catching the reflection of my brake lights. I didn't wait to see more. I drove until I hit the next town and pulled into a 24-hour diner. Sat there with my hands still shaking for maybe 20 minutes before I could even speak. I told the waitress there was someone at that gas station. She frowned and said, "Which one?" I told her, "Route 19, the one near the old rest stop." She paused. Then she said quietly, "That place hasn't been open for years." I wanted to argue, but my throat went dry. Because she wasn't joking. I could see it in her face. I didn't say anything after that, just ordered coffee and sat by the window, watching my car in the parking lot. And I swear, even with the lights of the diner all around me, I couldn't shake the feeling that if I looked long enough into that reflection, I'd see him standing there again. That was almost 2 years ago. And ever since that night, I've never stopped for gas after midnight. But sometimes when I'm driving late and I pass a station in the dark, I still glance toward the pumps. And once, just once, I thought I saw a shape standing there again. Same tilt of the head, same stillness. But this time, the lights weren't flickering. They were already off. It had been a few months since that night at the gas station. I tried not to think about it anymore. I told myself it was exhaustion or maybe a trick of the light. But deep down, I knew something about that night didn't sit right. Something had shifted in me. I stopped driving late after that, stopped taking back roads. But the thing about habits is, they always find a way back. It was a Thursday, early spring. I was driving home from a work trip, not as far this time, only 2 hours away. Still, by the time I hit the last stretch of highway, it was after midnight again. The roads were empty, no headlights ahead or behind, just that low hum of the tires and the faint static from my car's radio. I remember glancing at the fuel gauge and feeling my stomach twist. Not from fear this time, just irritation. Quarter tank left, enough to make it home. I wasn't stopping. I rolled the window down a little. Cold night air poured in. It smelled like rain and asphalt, the kind of scent that used to calm me, back before that night on Route 19. Somewhere around 12:43 a.m., the radio cut out. Just a second of static. Pshh. Then silence. I tapped the screen. Nothing. I tried changing the station, but it just made that same empty sound. Then right when I was about to turn it off, a faint voice came through. It was low, almost a whisper, just a few words at first, distorted and buried under static. I leaned closer. "Don't stop." I froze. I thought maybe I imagined it. I turned the volume down a notch, then back up. More static. And then, "Keep driving." The voice was male, calm, almost monotone, like he was sitting in the passenger seat beside me, talking under his breath. For a long few seconds, I just stared at the radio, hands gripping the wheel, knuckles white. "Who is this?" I said out loud, like an idiot. The sound of my own voice made the car feel smaller. No response, only the hum of static. Soft, but constant. Then another whisper, clearer this time. "You saw me." My stomach dropped. I didn't even breathe for a second, because I knew what he meant. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew. The gas station, the shape by the pump. I reached forward and shut off the radio completely. Silence. The only sound left was my heartbeat and the soft roar of the tires on asphalt. For the next few minutes, I tried to rationalize it. A prank, a glitch, maybe some weird late-night AM signal. I kept my eyes locked on the road, telling myself I was fine. But then, I noticed something strange. Even though the radio was off, the faint static was still there, coming from somewhere else. I turned my head slowly, scanning the dashboard. Nothing. But when I leaned closer toward the air vents, I heard it, like a whisper inside them. Pshh. Then the voice again, softer this time. You didn't leave. My chest tightened. I pressed harder on the gas pedal, gripping the wheel with both hands. The speedometer climbed past 80. I tried not to look in the mirrors, but my eyes kept flicking toward them anyway. Every dark patch of road behind me looked like it was moving. I don't remember how long I drove like that. Could have been 5 minutes, could have been 20. But I remember the moment I saw the light ahead, the glow of a gas station sign, and my whole body went cold. It was the same one, Route 19. Even though I was miles away from where that road should have been, the same sign, same dead light, same pump in the center flickering like it was trying to stay alive. I slammed on the brakes. The tires screeched, throwing dust into the air. And in the reflection of the windshield, for half a heartbeat, I saw movement, a figure standing by the pump, head tilted, hands at his sides, just like before. I blinked hard, and when I looked again, the gas station was gone, just an empty stretch of road and a field on either side. I sat there, chest heaving, every nerve in my body on fire. I looked at the clock, 1:17 a.m., the same time I'd stopped there before. I didn't know what to think. I just needed to get home. So I started driving again, slower this time. No music, no radio, just the steady sound of the engine and the feeling that something was listening. When I finally pulled into my driveway, I sat there for a long while before getting out. The house looked calm, quiet. The porch light was still on. But as I reached to turn off the car, the radio flicked on by itself, volume low. A soft whisper came through. Home again. Then, silence. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't even go inside right away. I just sat there in the car until the sun started to rise. When I finally did go in, I checked the radio settings. It showed no signal history, no saved stations, like it had been wiped clean. That was almost a year ago. And to this day, I don't play the radio when I drive at night. I keep it off, always, but every once in a while, when I'm on an empty stretch of road, I'll hear faint static coming from somewhere. Not loud enough to be real, but just enough to know it's there. And every time I check the clock, it's always just past 1:17 a.m. It's been a little over a year since the radio incident. Sometimes it feels like it never really ended, like it just changed form. I moved apartments after that, got a smaller place, quieter, top floor of an old building on the edge of town. No neighbors above, just the wind and the creak of wood at night. I told myself the change would help. New place, new start. But some nights when everything's still, I catch myself listening again. For static, or tapping, or anything. The first few months were fine. I got used to the silence, the faint hum of the fridge, the streetlights through the curtains. But then one night, sometime after 1 a.m., I woke up to a sound. Not loud, just a single knock. Tap. It came from the hallway outside my bedroom. At first, I thought it was the pipes. Old buildings make noises. So I turned over, tried to go back to sleep. Then I heard it again. Tap, tap, tap. This time slower, rhythmic, almost like someone was knocking on the wall with their knuckle, waiting between each one. I sat up, heart already beating too fast. The room was dim, just the streetlight glow spilling through the blinds. I stared toward the door. Nothing. No movement. No shadow under the frame. After a minute, I got up. I wasn't scared. Not yet. Just uneasy. I opened the door, half expecting to see the hallway light flickering or something. But it was pitch dark. Quiet. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, just listening. Then from the far end of the hall, the faint creak of a floorboard. That sound. It's subtle, but if you've ever lived alone, you know it immediately. It wasn't the building, it was weight, like someone had stepped just once, then stopped. I whispered, "Hello?" My voice sounded too small. Nothing. I took a slow step forward, then another. The floor groaned under me. Every sound felt like it was echoing through my chest. The hallway led to the small living room. The window faced the street. The front door was locked. I checked anyway. Everything looked normal. I told myself maybe it came from next door or the floor below. That's what I wanted to believe. But then, right as I turned back toward my bedroom, I heard it again. Tap. Only this time, it came from inside the apartment. The sound came from the end of the hallway, the part that led to the closet. A cold wave ran through me so fast I felt dizzy. I stared down the hall, waiting for my eyes to adjust. And slowly, a shape began to take form. Not clear, not solid, just a darker patch of darkness. Tall, still, like someone standing just at the edge of the light. My first thought was, someone broke in, but then it didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't make a sound. I took a shaky breath. Who's there? Nothing. The silence after that was so heavy it almost hummed. Then, another tap, this one closer. I stepped back instinctively. My hand brushed the wall and I felt my phone charger. I grabbed it. Not for defense, just something to hold. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I thought about running, but something in me said to stay still, to listen, and that's when I heard the whisper. It was faint, so faint I almost missed it. But I know what I heard. Keep driving. My entire body went cold, because those were the exact same words from the radio, the same tone, the same quiet calmness, like it wasn't even a threat, just a reminder. I blinked hard, trying to make sense of it, and when my eyes opened again, the shape was gone. The hallway was empty, but my door, the front door, was wide open. Just standing there motionless, a draft moving through the apartment. I didn't move for a full minute. Then I ran, slammed it shut, locked it, and slid down against it. I stayed there on the floor, breathing hard, staring down the hallway. The air felt heavy, thick, like someone had been standing right next to me seconds ago. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep the next one either. But a few nights later, I woke up again at 1:17 a.m. Same time, always the same time, and I saw something I can't forget. The door to the hallway, the one I always keep shut now, was open. Not wide, just enough to see through. And there in the faint orange light from the street outside, I saw the reflection of a face in the glass frame on the wall, tilted slightly downward, still watching. I didn't move, didn't breathe, because this time, I realized the reflection wasn't mine. I called the building manager the next morning, told him someone might have broken in. He checked the hallway cameras, said there was nothing. No one entered, no one left. But he looked at me strange when he said it. Then he asked almost casually, "You ever notice how our hallway lights flicker around 1 in the morning?" I didn't answer, just nodded and thanked him. That night I slept with the lights on. Didn't help, because right around 1:17 a.m., the bulb in the hallway started to hum. Then, tap, once, then twice, then silence. And as I stared at the crack under my door, I saw the shadow of a pair of feet, just standing there, not moving. They stayed for maybe a minute, then turned and slowly walked away. I never opened the door to check. I couldn't, because I know whatever's been following me since that gas station, it doesn't need to be seen anymore. It knows where I am. It always has. And every night since, right when the world goes quiet, right when my clock hits 1:17, the footsteps still stop, right outside my door.